Have you ever wondered if the miracles of ancient times could happen today? Or if the same divine power that once parted seas and raised the dead is still present in our world? This is the story of Elijah, a prophet whose life was marked by extraordinary miracles and the timeless question, where is the God of Elijah now? Elijah, a prophet of God, lived during a tumultuous period in Israel's history. The kingdom was divided and idolatry was rampant. Elijah's mission was clear: to call the people back to the worship of Yahweh, the one true God. His life and miracles serve as a powerful testament to the presence of divine power in a world filled with chaos and doubt. At the heart of this story is the reign of King Ahab and Queen Jezebel, whose leadership led Israel into moral and spiritual decline. Their devotion to Baal, a foreign deity, and their persecution of Yahweh's prophets set the stage for a dramatic confrontation between good and evil, faith and idolatry. Elijah's first significant act as a prophet was to confront King Ahab and announce a severe drought, a divine judgment for Israel's sins. This bold declaration was the beginning of Elijah's journey of miracles, each one a testament to the power of faith and the presence of God in a world that had forgotten him. For 3.5 years, the land of Israel suffered under the weight of the drought. The once fertile fields turned to dust and rivers ran dry. Yet in the midst of this desolation, Elijah experienced God's miraculous provision. God directed Elijah to the brook Cherith, where he was miraculously fed by ravens. Morning and evening, these unlikely messengers brought him bread and meat. This miracle not only sustained Elijah, but also demonstrated God's ability to provide in the most unexpected ways. When the brook dried up, God sent Elijah to Zarephath, a town outside of Israel. There he encountered a widow gathering sticks to prepare a final meal for herself and her son before they succumbed to starvation. Elijah's arrival marked the beginning of another miracle. Elijah asked the widow to bake him a small cake first, promising that her jar of flour and jug of oil would not run dry until the drought ended. She obeyed, and as promised, the supplies never diminished. This miracle of provision not only sustained the widow and her son, but also affirmed God's care for those who trust in him. The miracles did not end there. When the widow's son fell ill and died, Elijah stretched himself over the boy and cried out to God. The boy's life returned, and he was restored to his mother. This act of raising the dead was a powerful testament to God's sovereignty over life and death. The climax of Elijah's ministry came on Mount Carmel, where he challenged the prophets of Baal to a contest. 2 altars were built and 2 bulls prepared. The challenge was simple. The God who answered by fire would be recognized as the true God. From morning till noon, the prophets of Baal cried out, danced, and cut themselves, but there was no response. Elijah mocked them, urging them to shout louder, but their efforts were in vain. Then it was Elijah's turn. Elijah repaired the altar of Yahweh, laid the bull on the wood, and soaked it with water. He prayed a simple prayer, asking God to reveal himself to the people. Suddenly fire fell from heaven, consuming the offering, the wood, the stones, and even the water in the trench. The people fell on their faces, proclaiming, "The Lord, He is God." In the aftermath of this miraculous display, Elijah ordered the execution of the prophets of Baal, cleansing the land of their corrupt influence. The drought ended and rain returned to the parched land, signifying a new beginning for Israel. Despite these victories, Elijah's journey was not without challenges. Queen Jezebel, enraged by the defeat of her prophets, threatened Elijah's life. Fearing for his safety, Elijah fled into the wilderness, feeling abandoned and overwhelmed. Under the shade of a broom tree, Elijah reached his lowest point, asking God to take his life. But God had not abandoned his prophet. An angel provided food and water, and Elijah was strengthened for a 40-day journey to Mount Horeb. At Mount Horeb, Elijah experienced a powerful wind, an earthquake, and a fire. But God was not in these dramatic events. Instead, he spoke to Elijah in a gentle whisper, reminding him that he was not alone and that God's work would continue through him and others. Elijah's journey continued as he anointed Elisha to be his successor. Together, they performed miracles and proclaimed God's word. Elisha's dedication to Elijah and his desire for a double portion of Elijah's spirit demonstrated the enduring legacy of Elijah's ministry. The final miracle of Elijah's earthly ministry occurred at the Jordan River. Elijah struck the water with his mantle, and the river parted, allowing them to cross on dry ground. This act symbolized the passing of the prophetic mantle to Elisha. As they walked together, a chariot of fire appeared, and Elijah was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind. Elisha witnessed this miraculous event and took up Elijah's mantle, continuing his mentor's work with the same divine power. Elisha's ministry was marked by numerous miracles, affirming that the God of Elijah was still present and active. He parted the Jordan River, healed the waters of Jericho, and even raised the dead, demonstrating that God's power had not diminished. The story of Elijah and his miracles raises a profound question for us today. Where is the God of Elijah now? Is the same divine power that performed these wonders still available to us in our modern world? In a world filled with uncertainty, pain, and doubt, the need for miracles and divine intervention feels as pressing as ever. But perhaps the real question is not whether God is still performing miracles, but whether we have the faith to recognize and embrace them when they occur. Miracles may not always come in the form of fire from heaven or the parting of seas. Often, they are found in the quiet, everyday moments of grace, kindness, and hope. When we open our hearts to God's presence, we begin to see the miraculous in the mundane. The God of Elijah is present in the love we show to one another, in the courage to stand up for what is right, and in the resilience to face life's challenges with faith. When we act with compassion and integrity, we become vessels of God's power, bringing light into the darkness. Personal breakthroughs, moments of unexpected healing, and experiences of profound peace and clarity are all modern-day miracles that echo the divine power of Elijah's time. These moments remind us that God's presence is not confined to the past, but is active and vibrant today. Stories of modern-day miracles abound, from miraculous recoveries and answered prayers to profound moments of spiritual insight. These testimonies inspire us to keep believing in the power of faith and the reality of divine intervention. As we reflect on Elijah's life and the question, where is the God of Elijah now? Let us remember that God's power is timeless and boundless. It transcends the ages and is available to each of us when we seek it with a sincere heart. The God of Elijah is the same yesterday, today, and forever. His miracles continue in ways both grand and subtle, inviting us to open our eyes and hearts to his presence. In every age, the lessons of Elijah challenge us to deepen our faith, to trust in God's provision, and to recognize the miraculous in our lives.